Hello and welcome. My name is Diane Hayworth. I am the founder of the Be Love Principles. I appreciate you being here today. The name of this presentation is What the Heck Are the Be Love Principles and Why Should I Care? In today's world, we are inundated with chaotic thoughts and ideas, and there seems to be a lack of clarity. There's lots of fear. I am a spiritual coach, and I received in a meditation 4 statements that I came to call the Be Love Principles. Now, I've been meditating for 30 years, and you can go on the YouTube channel and you can see exactly how I got those. While I think that's a wonderful story, today I want to explain what the principles are and how you can use them and why you should use them. If you meditate, if you are looking for a way to be clearer about who you are, what you're here to do in the world, if you're struggling to forgive someone, to forgive yourself, to move through the fear that we see all around us, right? If you truly want to be a loving, kind, compassionate, respectful person, and you want to understand how to deepen that connection to the divine, this is the video for you. And if you're here live, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. The Be Love Principles are a series of 4 statements, and I believe they are a gateway to your own inner divine wisdom. Now, let me explain that as a spiritual coach, I am not affiliated with any particular religion. I happen to study A Course in Miracles, although I was raised in a traditional Christian environment. I also want to make sure that you understand I am giving you my experience, what I have seen, what I've experienced with myself, for myself, with my clients, with my students, as I've been working with these principles for 5 years now. So this is all about my own experience and those of people that I know. I want you to see what resonates with you. And if there is anything here that you find useful, use it. In the description, I've got a link to not only the Be Love Principles, but I have a link where you can get a free workbook and meditation so that you can go deeper on your own. My belief is that your internal divine wisdom, that's what is guiding you along this path of life. And when I was asking my own wisdom, how do I serve? How can I become an instrument for peace? I was given these set of 4 statements, and here's what they are. Statement number 1 of the Be Love Principles: greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. Now, you can look these up later. I just want you to let this wash over you. Greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. Now, just think about that. How would your life change if you were truly able to do that? If you could meet your spouse, your kids, your boss, somebody in the street, whoever it is, literally without an agenda, without a filter, without any preconceived notions of what's good or bad or what somebody looks like or doesn't or what they believe, you could truly greet them with an open heart. To me, this is how we start to create the world that we all want to live in. And if you back up one more step, one of the things that I teach my clients is to practice greeting themselves in the mirror every day with an open heart without an agenda. Greeting themselves without those ideas of I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't know, all the things that we carry. That's not who you are. That might be what your personality, your life experience, your ego tells you what that has happened, right? But what you are is a divine being. You're love. You're made from love. You come from love, in love, to live love. That's what's come through me. That's what I believe we're here to do. And again, if this resonates with you, great. If not, then sorry. Sorry. You can see I'm pretty practical about this. So that's the first statement in the Be Love principles. These can be used together as a stream, and I'll explain that in a minute, or individually. The second statement is see the divine essence in everyone and everything. Now, man, that's a big one, isn't it? There are plenty of horrific world events, events within your own community, events, things that have happened in your own life, illnesses, disasters, crime, all kinds of things. And we don't ever imagine or think that there could be anything divine there. My personal belief is that individuals, when we're in this ego state or our personality state, we make decisions all the time. But the essence of who we are is divine. And when you can even consider there is some divinity there, something bigger than you, something that really connects us all, to me, that's the oneness. It's just a different way to see something. What I find is if I am working with an individual, perhaps that I'm upset with, if I can truly look at them with an open heart without an agenda and ask to see their divine essence, then it's not that I condone any behavior that they've done, but it does shift my perspective. And what the principles do so beautifully is when we get into a constricted state, right? We're mad, we're upset, we're scared, we feel guilty, we're ashamed, we're overwhelmed, any of those things. It's very difficult for us to process what's really going on and make good decisions because we can be stuck in our fear and in our overwhelm. So, one of the beautiful things the principles do is take us from that constricted personality ego view of whatever we're looking at into a more expanded divine view. Now, let me explain what I mean by divine. My personal belief system is that love, God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call that energy that creates all things, is intelligent, expansive, creative. So if there is an intelligence, a divine intelligence, an expansive intelligence, of creative intelligence that lives within my heart and yours, that's what I want to tap into if I'm trying to work through a situation. Why would I want my ego or my personality to do that? That's what's stuck and upset. So that's the second one. The first two, again, greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. The second is see the divine essence in everyone and everything. Now, the third principle people can get hung up on, and I'll be very honest with you, it's forgiveness. It's around forgiveness. That one can be really hard for people. It's been hard for me in the past. What I now understand about forgiveness is when I am stuck in resentment, when I'm stuck in anything that is around resentment, fear, grief, even, if I'm in that stuck energy, I'm not able to move forward in places in my life that I want to, that it's affecting me. When I look at forgiveness, what I'm doing is releasing my energy from that stuck, constricted energy. This does not mean you're condoning another's behavior. If someone has done something that needs to be legally taken care of, go ahead and do that. This is not condoning behavior. Forgiveness frees you from the fear, from, this is my perspective, frees you from the fear, from the regret, from the resentment, from those energies that stop you from living the life you can live as a happy, more satisfied, clear individual. And I'll talk in a minute about how I know the principles can do that, at least how I've seen them do that. So the third principle is forgive quickly, completely, and unconditionally. Now, when I've done specific workshops on this, we can go into the full process of how you do forgiveness. I can tell you right now, with any of these forgiveness or any of these beloved principles, any of them, you can go into your own heart and just say, show me. Show me how to forgive this person for whatever it was. Show me how to forgive myself. Show me. You have divine intelligence inside. The principles just remind you and help open the door to what's already there for you. So the first three, greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. See the divine essence in everyone and everything. 3 is forgive quickly, completely, and unconditionally. And the fourth principle is one that to me is the most amazing. Remember, you never left the light of the all. Now, if you go and see the little video I did on the way I received these, you'll hear me say that this particular point in the meditation where I received the principles, there was this light that was teeming with joy, and it was effervescent. It was palatable. It was absolutely amazing. That's the light of the all that we are, that we come from, that we are still attached to. Just we forget. That's right. We just forget. And you forget because if you are involved in something that completely has your focus, where you are really joyful, maybe you're playing with a small puppy, maybe like me, you're playing with the small grandchild, and I'm really involved with the play, and we're laughing, and we're just having a wonderful time. That joy, that effervescence, that truth, especially with small children, that authenticity, that honesty, that curiosity, that's being back in that light of the all in human form. It's remembering that's what's true for us. The drama around us, my belief system is that we create a lot of that in our head. Now, let me be very clear. We have an opportunity, and I mean we collectively as a planet and individually in our communities and in our country, we have an opportunity to make loving choices that will benefit us all. We have an opportunity to speak to each other, to find compromises, not meaning, it's going to be something where someone loses and another group gains. We have to be able to talk to each other because together we're smarter, we're stronger, we see things from different perspectives, and we need all of that, all of those parts of this beautiful puzzle to come together to create the society, the world we all want to live in. So whether you use the Be Love principles or another tool to connect to that your own inner divine wisdom, find what works for you. Could be meditation, could be Byron Katie's The Work. There's lots of wonderful tools. This is mine, the Be Love principles. Now, one of the things that I promised I would talk about is, why you should care about these. I ran a very small case study with a group of people, and this was January through March 2020. And what these folks, what they agreed to do was use the principles, and I'll talk in a minute about how you use the principles, 5 out of 7 days, at least 5 out of 7 days a week, in any way they wanted to do it. And they actually kept a survey form. So there was a series of 8 questions, and they had to rate, at the beginning of the week, how did they feel, how much did they love themselves, 1 to 10. And what was their health, and what was their level of feeling connected to the divine, what was their level of clarity, what was their happiness level, what about their life situation. So the 8 categories, and they kept that, they religiously completed those forms for me every week for 90 days, 3 solid months. Now, what was interesting was we started this process in January 2020. None of us knew what was coming. Nobody. Nobody knew what was coming. I certainly didn't. But throughout this process, January, February, March, as it started dawning on us, as COVID started to unfold in different parts of the world, and certainly here in the United States, by the time that we were wrapping up this program, this case study, we were starting to do the shutdowns here on the East Coast. Nobody knew what was going on at that point. Nobody knew if there was going to be a vaccine. People had and still have various opinions on if that's even the way to go. Lockdown was very controversial. People who had health issues were terrified. People who had elderly loved ones were terrified. People who were going to have children or folks at home and not knowing how long you were going to have to be sequestered at home. There was just so much uncertainty. That's why the results of this study was so, to me, amazing. Actually, I had to write them down because they were just, to me, it was absolutely amazing. So when the folks in my study consistently worked through the principles 5 out of 7 days, even in the midst of a worldwide pandemic that we had never seen, nobody that is alive now has ever seen anything like this. Here's the results these people got as a group. As a group, their feelings of self-love increased by 14%. I thought just that was amazing. Their feelings of peacefulness, when literally there was no certainty about what was going on. Their levels of peacefulness as a group went up 17%. It's over 3 months. That's amazing to me. Their happiness level up 14%. Individual happiness level up 14%. Their feelings about their life situation. So where were they in their life? Who was in their home? How were they in their domestic relationships? How do they feel about their business or their career, right? That's what I called their life situation. Their feelings around their life situation increased 17%. Now, in the study, I had all kinds of folks, people who were going to have small children at home for they don't know how long, people who ran businesses that didn't know what was going to happen to their business, people who were working that didn't know, were they going to be able to work from home? How long was this going to last? People who had significant health issues actually were in my study as well. And still, overall life situation went up by 17%. So tell you the truth, I was really amazed by all of that. But when some of the other numbers came in, I was just shocked. As a group, in this case study, the feelings of connection to their own inner divine wisdom, that divine connection is what I called it, went up by 29%. That's amazing. 29%. Now, when anybody's focused on a practice, although I wouldn't have necessarily expected to go up by that much, I would expect a little bit of a bump. But 29%, especially when the world was in such chaos, was amazing to me. But the last number is what really blew me away. Their feelings of clarity about who they are, what they were here to do, how they would go forward in life, that went up by 60%. 60% as a group. What would it be like for you if you were 60% more clear in 3 months about who you are and what you're here to do? The reason I think that occurs is because one of the wonderful things the principles do is get you out of this fearful personality or ego mind into where you really have the intelligence, that wisdom that we all have. It's here. And this is what the principles do. They're just one way. that you can access that inner divine wisdom. So how do you use the principles? Well, I'll give you a couple ways. Some people will meditate with the principles either individually or they'll use them as a process. Now, when I first got the principles, I would for a week take one principle, meditate with that, and be very conscious about practicing it. So the first week I started this, it would be, I'm going to greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. And I would tell myself that before I went to the grocery store, before I saw clients, before I talked to my husband. How can I? And that's the thing. Ask that wisdom. How can I greet everybody with an open heart without an agenda? How do I do that? And let that truth come to you. So you can meditate with that. You can use it for mirror work, which is something I love to do. You can use it as a journal prompt. You can get out your journal and say, 10 ways I could greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda are. Start listing them. Talk about them with your family or friends. Hey, I saw this thing on YouTube where this lady was asking this question. What do you think of this? So you can work with them individually. Now, what I found after all these years is there's something specific about the order. And what I will do often with people is lead them through an experience. And I'll do that one day on a future video here on YouTube. But I'll lead them through an experience where they choose a focus person or a focus event. And we'll first look at, how do I greet this person? Usually it's somebody they're upset with. This person with an open heart without an agenda. How do I see their divine essence? If you get those two done first, it at least can open the door to forgiveness. I don't ever want anybody to be forced to forgive anything or anyone, by the way. What I will offer is, if you are not ready to forgive someone, and that's perfectly fine, in the Be Love principles, what will happen is you can at least get to the place where it's a possibility, right? It's a possibility. That's it, just a possibility. So when it gets to the forgiveness piece, if you've done the first two, worked on the first two around a focus person or event, that seems to help an awful lot. That last principle, the remember you never left the light of the all, that's one I really do love to use with visualizations. So you can use any of these as a meditation. You can use them all together as a string with meditation, as a meditation. And when you get to that fourth, remember you never left the light of the all. I like to imagine myself in this beautiful spotlight of iridescent, teeming golden light. And I imagine that it goes inside and out, just re-energizing my cells. And it's actually, my cells remember the song of Source. That's what that light does for me. And if I'm doing a situation where I'm being invited to do some forgiveness work, if there's a person or an event, I will actually invite them into the circle with me. Not to condone behavior, but what I discovered that does is help me remember that we're all here in the oneness. We may be playing different parts. We are playing different parts in this physical reality, but we're all one. We're all one at the spirit level. We're all one at the heart level. Everybody wants the same things. You want to love and be loved. That's it. That's it. And the Be Love principles are a tool to help you find your place in the world as a more loving, kind, present individual. That's what it does. That's why it's important, and that's how you can use them. In the description, again, I've got a link to a free workbook and meditation. If you'd like to explore this a little deeper, go ahead and look at some of the other videos here on my channel. You'll see things that relate. I've got a whole playlist of Be Love principles, including a demonstration on how I work with them. And I also have tons of interviews about them. I would invite you to go to beloveprinciples.org, sign up there for a newsletter, and you'll see what's coming up for us. And if I can help you in any way, reach out and let me know. Hope you subscribe to this channel, and I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you very much.